Yeah, I think let's continue the awesome discussions that we have been having, off this room and the talks that has happened on L2 and so on and so forth. I think we have this fantastic panel and the first panel of this edition of Hot Tech series. And probably, I would not try to introduce themselves because they would introduce themselves much, much better, right? So, why don't you start, Mingshi?
Great. Thanks for the invite. And my name is Mingshi, and from Astar Network. And Astar Network, we used to be on layer 1 on top of Polkadot. We used to be one of the largest layer 1s on Polkadot in terms of market cap and volume, and also recognized as a go-to market choice for Japanese enterprises. And at the moment, we are building Astar ZK EVM powered by Polygon CDK, and as an Ethereum layer 2 to expand our horizons to the Ethereum ecosystem. And regarding the specific stack, we haven't fully decided on the DA layer at the moment. We released a testnet based on adopting Ethereum testnet as the DA layer, and we're also exploring off-Ethereum DA solutions as Avail, Celestia, EconDA, even DSA, etc. And yes, our vision here is to bring Web3 to billions starting from Japan, with focusing on building real-world use cases together with traditional brandings, together with local government, together with enterprises, and by leveraging Web3 to empower the real-world economy. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense. So just to continue in the same vein, why don't you introduce yourself, give us a thought about the stack, what you're building, and so on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jerome de Tychey. I've been in the crypto space for quite some time now and work at different companies. Recently, I created my own firm called Cometh, and at Cometh, we do blockchain games. Like we create on-chain games, actually. We do a lot of R&D and tryouts on how we can innovate with gaming inside the blockchain and blockchain inside the gaming space. So we have a game studio that releases games around every 18 months or so. Our next game is coming up on the Epic Game Store. And on the side, which is actually our main activities, we do a lot of R&D and a lot of middlewares for retail-oriented applications that wants to use the chain in loyalty, in engagement, in gaming, and so on and so forth. Our main area of expertise is around account abstraction, and we did a lot of things around L2 and L3s. We did an implementation of the data availability committee from Arbitrum onto the OP stack, and we are about to release our next game on its own layer, a version of Arbitrum Orbit with an upgrade called Stylus, and we're working with AtLayer on this front. So yeah, very happy to be here, and congrats to Avail for this awesome event so far.
Thanks. Let's continue with you, Zoe.
All right. Thanks, everyone. My name is Zoe. I currently represent Mantle Network. Mantle Network essentially is an OP rollup built on Ethereum. I think one thing sets us apart is that we are the first, actually, a modular L2, OP L2, actually, on Ethereum. It was launched in July this year, and there are a couple of a big announcement for us as well in a couple of months. One is that we're going to launch our flagship product, LSP protocol on Ethereum, and the token that you have staked out of LSP can be seamlessly bridged to a Mantle ecosystem. On top of that, we have a wide variety of incentive programs within the network, and the goal essentially is to bring as many users as possible, and also to experiment, innovative applications on us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm Victor from Manta Network. It's actually really similar, but it's different, like Manta and Mantle. Manta is, we are also doing modular, and probably the most modular tech stack in the space. We are basically on the DA side, we are the first and only one layer 2 using Celestia as DA, and on the execution layer, we are currently the OP stack, but we are the first one transition from OP stack to Polygon ZK EVM using the Polygon CDK. And on the application level, we are calling ourselves the ZK application layer. Basically, the Solidity developer, they don't need to write circuit, and they just call contracts and to build this kind of new use cases with ZK, because we can abstract all of the circuit into the contracts to make them easier to build, and the user experience is cheaper and faster. Yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Deli?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I'm Deli from Automata. We started actually 2 years ago. We used to build like middlewares across chains, trying to protect privacy, fairness for all the Web3 users. We had a product called OneRPC. It's like running across 40 plus networks, protecting like millions of users every month. Regarding to rollups, we are actually turning into a 2.0 protocol with a focus on bringing machine level trust into Ethereum. So we're building a attestation layer on top of like multiple other chains. Ethereum is one of them. So we're actually like exploring together with Outlayer on this. We have a testnet running now, running on top of Outlayer stack, which allows users to attest their devices on chain, fully on chain. And we have, like, since the launch so far, we have seen like tens of thousands of attestations coming from all kinds of devices, like your iPhone, Androids, or even Windows laptops, or even from like some of the machines running on the clouds. So our vision is trying to like in the future bring all the like billions of the devices that's capable of doing attestations on chain. Then like anyone can just trust the devices, trust the computation from the devices as well.
That's awesome. And as you can all see, like there is a lot of great vision in terms of what you guys are trying to build. But let's start with one of the hot takes and a spicy question, right? So I think you guys all mentioned from bringing a lot of users to making sure that on-chain finality and things like that make sense. You talked about why you are coming to the Ethereum ecosystem and so on. I want to understand when you are choosing the stack of your choice, right? For example, you are choosing machine level attestations, you guys are choosing Polygon ZK EVM, and before that the OP stack, she's choosing the OP stack, and so on and so forth. Like when you are choosing the stack, what are the key ingredients that you are thinking about while choosing it? Is it the user experience? Is it what fits best with your stack, with the use case that you are trying to build, or is there more to it that doesn't meet the eye of the general developer here? Why don't you start?
First one to start. Yes, when it comes to choosing the stack, actually we have been hesitating a lot among all these like stacks and DA layers. And the reason that why we adopt Polygon CDK actually comes from several perspectives. One side is definitely the synergies that we can create together with Polygon team. From Astar network, our perspective, one of our major focus is to bring real-world use cases into Web3. Because as we can see at the moment, the number of Web3 native users is still limited. As we can see, like the blue sea is definitely in how to bring those users from the real world, build real-world use cases to lead those users to Web3. And when it comes to this, Polygon is definitely one of the most experienced builders in this section with the successful use case of together with Starbucks, together with Louis Hansa. And we see this actually a lot of experience that we can learn from. And thus, from the growth side, it makes a lot of sense for us to work together with Polygon team to adopt Polygon CDK and to conquer Japanese market together. And the second side is that from the second perspective is that for us, for sure, we want high EVM equivalency. At the moment, in terms of among all these like choices, when it comes to optimistic rollup, it is definitely easier to be highly EVM equivalent. But when it comes to ZK rollup, ZK EVM, Polygon CDK is the only mature, I would say, only mature enough solution in the current space which is highly EVM equivalent. Although it's type 2, but it still like fits most of our needs. And besides that, I think when it comes to adopting Polygon CDK, that would be the major reasons. And when it comes to DA layers, we haven't made our decision yet. We are closely following up. We'll release a testnet based on Ethereum but with the recent progress of proto-dank sharding, we are kind of concerned. That's why we're also exploring of Ethereum DAs. Yes, I would say that's like the rough perspectives.
Thank you. At least one hot take to take here is Polygon seems to be the only production-grade ZK EVM, as per him. Yeah, let's go on.
I do agree with that. Polygon is the only production-ready ZK EVM right now. And cheers to all my Polygon friends around here. So in our case, well, first off, we realized that there's no one-size-fits-all, depending on your use cases. Sometimes you don't even want EVM's equivalent. You're fine with something that's super optimized for one specific topic, for example. We look at the ZK EVMs, and we decided to not build at first on this because we wanted something that was closer to the plain EVM in order to port some of the tooling that you get on the EVM. So then we had to choose between Arbitrum and Optimism, basically. We did a lot of research and a lot of open source development on Optimism as well, specifically on getting the data availability committee ready so that we don't have to post everything on-chain. Like the optimistic rollup that posts everything on-chain without using a data availability layer are kind of clogging the chain right now. They already consume about 2% of the gas, the total gas. So yeah, if there are a lot of successful games or successful retail applications that start to have their own rollup, the L1 won't be able to withstand that if everybody is posting everything. So then in the case of gaming, we want, and also some retail applications, like loyalties and traceability, you want to do things that are sometimes a bit exotic from a cryptographic standpoint. So being able to get access to precompiles is pretty good. Like being able to add precompiles to the VM is also quite good. That's something that the EVM, so Optimism, lets you do a lot. And that's something that we found can be done really efficiently using Arbitrum stylus, because we get a WASM virtual machine on the side of the EVM. That's why we decided to build our next game on the stylus in the first place. Now, when it comes to the data availability, well, you know, it's when you look at the security spectrum of a rollup, there's many things that can go wrong. Data availability is one of them. So the naive solution is like put everything on L1. Okay, that's a bit naive because you're clogging the chain again. But in the case of a game or retail applications, maybe you can make some trade-off on the quality or on the security perception of your data availability layer. So we decided to keep some some philosophical direction. Like anybody that wants to run a data availability node should be able to do so with sufficiently low capital requirement and time requirement. So right now it's a data availability layer that we run with alt layer, but the way the rollup stack is built, it can be switched to any data availability. So I expect the data availability spectrum to be really exotic. Like people will run different data availability until we find that, oh, you get a hack on this one or you get an abuse on this one. So everybody will go from one to the other. But due to the whole innovation that we see in the data availability committee spectrum or data availability layer spectrum, I don't expect this market to concentrate on one thing around the next 3 to 4 years. Like there will be many different flavors of how you do data availability. Yeah.
Thank you. Please go on.
Yeah, I think like to add on top of that, when we started to think about even build our L2, I think last year, there are obviously a lot of choices. There are probably even debate within the team that, are we trying to build an L1 on ourselves, or should we tap into the L2 ecosystem? If that's the case, what kind of tech stack we're going to opt to? Essentially, I think the team have decided to go to the OP rollup. Before the mainnet launch, I think we are still very heatedly debating on whether we should switch to ZK EVM because, I think obviously that's where the trend is going. The essence of Mantle tech stack design, I would say, it's no surprise here because it's a modular panel, but we do want to be able to evolve with the industry, as it is, and be able to to integrate and plug and put into the latest technology that we are able to enable the best user experiences. After a lot of testing and also experimenting, including testing Polygon ZK VM, ZK Sync, as well as Scroll, we decided to stay on OP rollup for now. as well as adding on to enable to integrate with AgenDA to be our DA layers. As Jerome has mentioned, we do believe that in the upcoming years, there will be many flavors actually in the industry for people to try out different text as solutions. But I think the key is be able to quickly test out the result of it and to be able to be modular and agile about the solutions you choose. And I think Mantle, in that sense, are ready for for the change. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, from our perspective, we basically have long history of the working with different tech stack, and there's actually a lot of transition, for the basically 3 years what we've been building. I think at the beginning, we start from Polkadot, and back in 2020, we are basically one of the early projects building ZK applications in the DeFi summer. And at that time, we have the first multi-asset, privacy address, in the space. But because we are really committed to the Polkadot ecosystem, and the tech stack is not there. Even we build the whole ZK infrastructure, and it's just not working for the user adoption because the infrastructure is not there and the team is not that working on the ecosystem support. And then after that, we basically spend really huge effort on that, but we have to pivot to not because we want to, but we try to survive in the space. And I think since last year we find we have to build our new use cases besides the in Polkadot. So we start to collaborate with other projects on the privacy credential space, and then we have 600,000 ZK SBT within 4 months on the credentials, and then we build this ZK application layer with credential and fully on-chain games, with our randomized number using ZK to do the card trading games. So all of this tech stack is all on the application level ZK, and we have to find the different tech stack, to make it really able to adopt to achieve adoption, to get better usage. So right now, we don't have to really commit to the one ecosystem. That's the biggest lesson I learned. But I have to commit to have a better user experience for our users. Because right now we have our own ecosystem. We have more than 100 projects building on top of us. I have to be responsible for them rather than, for some big layer 1 or layer 2. That's why, we start from OP stack and we find, challenge period is a problem, fraud proof potentially is not there as a problem. So we just add, prover, we can do we have the validity proof, then we don't have to use the fraud proof. But also on the DA side, it's also we have to, because we have a lot of fully on-chain games, basically every week we have a new one. And these fully on-chain games, they consume huge gas fee. That's what users complain about. So we have to find the DA partners. So that's kind of why we have the, this kind of tech stack. And also we have a kind of a long roadmap. Start from the OP stack, currently Ethereum DA, and then do the DA transition, and then do the the execution layer transition from OP to ZK EVM, and then we keep building our universal circuit to enable new use cases build on top of this. That make us become a unique layer 2 in the Ethereum space. We still use Ethereum as gas fee. We basically from our perspective, I don't think we are another layer 2. Just as same as Ethereum. There's already enough layer 2 doing similar things of Ethereum. What we try to do is how to create new use cases with ZK in the Ethereum space, but only for Solidity developer because they don't need to learn other language like Cairo and Noor or other kind of this kind of complicated but great languages. So but what they can do like better contribute on Ethereum.
Yep. Our story of adopting Rollup were really straightforward, and decision making was really fast because looking at the numbers, some of the real world numbers, the top reason that we choose Rollups are the cost savings. Because based on our testnet, we've done a lot of like on-chain attestations for hardwares, and we measure that actually one single attestation for hardware would easily cost you like millions of gas. And it's not possible to run this kind of computations on Ethereum or on other layer 1 networks. And going to layer 2 is really like straightforward because we have some numbers like we've saved like hundreds of ETH if this were to running on Ethereum, and that actually equivalent to like 800,000 USD. So that means this is really a cost saving for us. And second reason we choose Rollup is like we still can validate the state of like all the like data on Rollups. Because we choose Ethereum as a DA by default, and if we want to validate, we can just like take the Merkle tree, take the state root, and try to validate on layer 1 directly. Even the rollups are not available. And also, since we had a long relationship with Outlayer, working on like using their flash layers to mint NFTs, and it's also just straightforward for us to like start testing out their like new offerings of rollup stacks, which has multi-sequencer setup, which also has a like it's by default optimistic. But of course, we're actually building modular attestation layer. We're not like just building we're not sticking to just one ecosystem, because in the future we're trying to be application specific, not very general rollup, so that we can provide services back to the like settlement layer. So when it comes to like attestations, we would just do computation on rollup, but when it's come to like usage of the attestations, we will try to make sure it's accessible on L1 and people can just take it from there. So that's kind of our lessons learned from the journey.
Yeah, I think thanks everyone. But just to take a good segue from here, right? I mean, all of you guys are developing L2s, right? Because of various reasons that you guys talked about. Do you envision L3s being built on top of you? Like, are you guys thinking of the applications being built on top as just applications like a smart contract deployment, or are you thinking more like L3s, what Matt was saying, that they can decide their own gas fees and so on and so forth, the entire stack? Or is it more like application deployments on top of you? The follow-up question, just to follow it up, is that if you're thinking about the L3 stack and you being the L2, how do you see the L2 space evolving? Will them be application specific, where there are all these L2s are independent but also unique in their own style, or there will be many of the same style of things happening? So I think start with him first.
I think this is like the perfect question for us, because I was just mentioning that we might be becoming a multi-rollup setup in the future. We can be L3 on top of other L2s, because our focus is really just on like hardware attestations. It's really like, first of all, it's actually very compute intensive and also storage intensive. So we might also try out different DA solutions in the future. And also it allows us to like get better aligned with the ecosystem. For example, if within certain settlement layers they prefer a certain stack, we can just be that, because in the end we're just building smart contracts. We're just working with all the rollup like service providers to make sure that our layer is ready and can work smoothly with other rollups, with other L3s. And this is actually something we really want to focus on as well, being able to communicate seamlessly across different L3s or across different L2s. I mean, of course, we can rely on some bridges, but in the end, if there's better trust minimized way to do that, that'd be better, because in the end, we're talking about like allow users to attest the device and also show the proof to other people or to the party that's interested. So this is the kind of the future that we're looking forward to. Yeah.
Victor?
From like Manta's perspective, we actually like thinking there will be some on-chain games maybe deploy on us. Eventually, will be the L3. And like I think it's from really practical perspective, they need like a shorter block time, and probably also they need like other kind of other DAs, but they still they still have the community within Manta ecosystem. They kind of stay in Manta, so that's kind of probably a good options for just build a layer 3. Yeah, I think potentially that could work, and there's actually several games in discussion with us about that. But from the layer 2 perspective, we are really support these kind of things. And also I think one thing I'm really concerned is the bridge side, how to make the L2 to L3 bridge kind of merge into the L1 to L2 bridge interface. That would be a kind of problem what I'm thinking, because I do want users when they go to the these kind of ancient games, they don't need to feel I have to cross the bridge. That's a huge entry barrier for users. They will feel the difference in the block time. That would be really great thing, because in L2 you cannot produce block in extremely fast way. Otherwise, you will pay extremely high gas fee for all of the other applications besides game, like DeFi and SocialFi. They don't need such short block time. So it have to balance on both sides, but I do think if UX is getting much better, like with game account or these kind of things, it's definitely doable, and we are really support that.
Yeah, for us, I think for now, L3 is definitely in a discussion phase, but it's definitely not one of our top agendas yet, mainly because I think there's so many, ground or fundamental steps for us to be finished. However, I do believe that, with the, I guess the real use case coming in, which probably is not in the near future, I do believe, the emergence or the need for the L3 will be there, and a text that we have chosen will be supportive of that.
Am I on? Okay. So I've never heard a user tell me I'm not bridging to your network because you don't have a fault proof. This is something. If someone told you that once, I'm really interested to learn about this story. So in our first design attempt, we wanted to commit directly on the layer 1, post our data availability directly on layer 1, and also our state directly on layer 1. And then for the sake of saving on gas and making a network really effective, we moved to a data availability layer. But we are still committing on the layer 1. So we decided then to move a little bit further and say well, in any case, we could also commit our state to a layer 2 and essentially becoming a layer 3, but this layer 2 will then commit on a layer 1, so our state will become data for the layer 2, and then data posted for the layer 1 as well. So the rationale behind being a layer 3, so our stylus rollup is built on top of Arbitrum stack, but also on top of Arbitrum 1, is that we expect Arbitrum and other bigger, more mature L2s, it works as well for them. We expect them to move faster towards dank sharding and other innovation in the space, and thus we will be able to benefit from their moves towards this direction. So our state data will actually become data for the layer 2, and then save even more on gas as time goes by. So we don't really expect people to build on top of our layer 3, a layer 4, a layer 5, a layer 6, etc. We expect them to spin out their own layer 3 and eventually to become a layer 2 when they feel like it's time to, or when they feel like they want to have more security or more consideration towards fault proofs and so on and so forth. So you can have this discussion from an economical standpoint. You can have this discussion from various ways of approaching security, but you can also have this discussion with the perspective of the networking, thinking about how many nodes you need to run for the execution to be safe and sound, or to be replicable and so on, and how many nodes you need to run on your data availability to make it safe and sound as well. So when you put all those ingredients in the pan. You're like, okay, well, maybe I need to be an L2, maybe I need to be an L3, maybe it's worth spinning on my own thing, and so on. So right now we are about to test what it is to be a full app chain running a game and opening up to other games that want to build on top of us as well, but also creating a precedent for people that want to take the same direction to look at what we've built and say like, well, maybe it fits my use case, maybe it doesn't, maybe I should look for something else. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, from Astar perspective, Layer 3 has always been a very interesting topic for us to explore, and we have been researching and looking for solutions on that for quite some time. We have been working closely with the outer layer, and they already supported Astar Tychey EVM testnet, so anyone can use the outer layer to set up a Layer 3 on top of Astar Tychey EVM testnet, which is an Ethereum Layer 2 at the moment. And that's for sure we support developers to set up their own Layer 3s. And when it comes to like whether do we want to build Layer 3s on our own, this is actually something we are also very interested in. Because based on our experience, especially when talking with enterprise customers, for example, previously we talked with one of the largest coffee shops in Vietnam, and for their requirement, for their needs, like when it comes to loyalty program, even with Layer 2, basically, even adopting like off Ethereum data availability solutions, based on our gas modeling results, the cost will still be not that affordable for this kind of really real-world use cases that requires a lot of transactions. And thus, in this case, it comes to us that the idea of Layer 3 to further reduce the cost of transactions. And another side, that as Victor already mentioned, for sure, like gaming is also one of the directions for us, very important direction. And in terms of in the security spectrum, when it comes to Layer 2, we have to take care of the security side. When it comes to the block production time, it's trade-offs. When it comes to the Rollup, if we make the block production time much faster and without changing the batching time, the security will be influenced. And in that case, in terms of gaming, like because in the Web3 use cases for Astar, we focus both on the real world side and the Web3 native side. They have different level of security requirements, different finality, different block production time requirements, and different transaction cost requirements. So to fit all these kind of needs, we believe like possibly like building Layer 3s, use case specific Layer 3s, like gaming specific, consumer product specific Layer 3s, is a direction that we are very interested in, and we are already taking actions there together with the outer layer.
Makes sense.
I want to add something on the Web3 native aspect of things. Indeed, it's hard to bridge. Right now, if you are on an L3 on top of Optimism and you want to bridge towards Starknet and then bridge back to Polygon and so on, it's complicated, to say the least. But as you mentioned, it's Web3 native people that are having this problem. Like I have my assets on Ethereum layer 1 at stake on whatever compound and so on. I have LPs and so on, and I need to move things to do some DeFi on another L2 and so on. So you are bridging, and every time you are spending some gas fees, and it doesn't make sense if you are not at least paying the L1 fees and so on. But we are talking about like a couple of millions of users that have significant assets in crypto, and that the DeFi applications are fighting for to grow their TVL. When you are doing a retail applications like a game, you're not really caring about getting those big whales to play your game. Oh yeah, they can play your game and chill your project. That's great, but you're trying to get the layman, and your cousin, your friends from school to just play the game. So they hop on the thing, and they should be able to use their credit card to purchase any asset. They should be able to get an on-ramp to crypto really smoothly. Maybe we can have the help of centralized exchanges to support those networks swiftly so they can also bring services, but we shouldn't care too much about having them being able to easily or not easily bridge. It should be natural for them to go there. In an ideal situation, we will be like browsing the layers as we are browsing the web, and it will be swift and easy for anyone to jump on a new website. Oh, it's an L4. Well, never mind. I'm just bringing my single sign-on, which is my wallet, and I'm interacting right now.
I think sorry if you want to respond, but just one sec, is that I think Jerome stole my show and I was about to ask the same question, and thanks for asking it. And just to kind of add on to that, like basically speaking, like what is the trust minimized way of messaging between you guys in a world where someone wants to do like coffee credit, prove some on-chain assets, do it in message attestation, and then maybe prove it on Mantle, right? So if we are in a world where all of these L2s want to do trust minimized message passing between them, do you guys think that all of them will be through Ethereum, or are there other trust minimized ways which you are at least on the horizon? Right now, you might not be focusing, as he says, that there are bigger fishes to fry, to be honest, of doing more about onboarding new users and new use cases. But in a world where there are enough users into all of your chains, how are you thinking about operation between them?
Yes, first to add on top of what Jerome mentioned, from our perspective, based on our experience talking with those enterprises, a fact that we are, the outcome that we are trying to achieve is not about like, I mean, bridging assets or interoperability is not a big concern for enterprise use cases or real-world use cases, because the purpose is to make those users not feeling the blockchain. So no matter which blockchain they are using, they don't feel it. So it comes. So in this case, bridging or interoperability is not an issue there, because they won't feel the blockchain, won't feel the blockchain underlaying the UI. And when it comes to like messaging, yeah, messaging for us, that's also one of the core reasons we adopt Polygon CDK as like Polygon CDK. They're focusing on building this LXLY bridge, basically to unite all the Polygon CDK chains, and to, especially when it comes to asset bridging side. Although like maybe this will be a kind of expensive way, but when it comes to asset bridging, LXLY, we believe there is a huge potential there to enable the DeFi composabilities among all these Polygon CDK chains.
In our case, we don't really see right now how to properly do cross L2s without going back to the L1. And when you go back to the L1, the go-to solution, if you really want to minimize the trust assumption, would be to use a storage proof to prove that there is actually a storage in the EVM that contains the asset that you're moving and so on. And it's an interesting field of innovation. Like we did some stuff, but check out our GitHub, we did some stuff. But yeah, we don't really know how to do it properly yet.
Yeah, likewise. I think, you know, right now the pain point, I think for us, or I think for general L2s, doesn't probably lie in the interoperability, but rather it's like, how do you even, I guess, like to get the real users to be onboarded first, and then I think that's the first order questions, and then to be addressed by the, you know, by the following up questions yet. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I actually feel, you know, it's actually different from theoretical theory perspective and the you know, like real user perspective. From user side, the interoperability are, you know, Orbiter bridge and, you know, like some like Rhino bridge. You know, this kind of bridge is basically address to address transfer. And, you know, without any, you know, like what we call it, like storage proof, you know, like ZK bridge, whatever complicated it is. But it works, and it works perfectly. And there's huge volume. But on the theory, you know, like we have great vision on the, you know, like the DA side interoperability and like, you know, prover side interoperability from Polygon, ZK EVM, and, you know, like all the ZK bridge interoperability, and, you know, like a lot of other things. So that's different. And but also another thing is, you know, like Mantle have a really like a clear strategy, which is great. It's like doing all of the like liquid staking like assets, you know, like make capital efficiency. I think that's also kind of bridge, you know, to kind of interoperability. We kind of take asset from the L1 and then make it more capital efficiency in L2. Now, all of this, I think, from user facing, you need to consider more realistic stuff. And on the research side, let's see how can we get there, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think the best, like the most trust minimized way to do this kind of cross L2 or cross L3 bridging is up to like a few factors. One of them is what kind of trust boundary you are trying to cross. Second is what's your budget for like latency or for delays. So on the first point, is sometimes you are crossing like ecosystem. Sometimes you are crossing even like, for example, from Ethereum to other non-EVM chains. In those cases, you probably have to rely on different ways. But the best thing so far I've seen is actually if you are building within one ecosystem, very likely they're already having a trust minimized way to do that. Maybe they're sharing a common DA layer, or maybe they have a built-in like message passing layer, so you can just easily allow messages to flow between like within the ecosystem. Of course, if you choose to like go one layer up or even cross the settlement layers, that'd be a lot difficult. And chances are right now you have to really rely on some of the bridges maybe. And on the second point, on the budget for delay, we know that like if you like trying to bring things back to settlement layers, it will subject to some of delays, no matter it's ZK rollup or it's optimized rollup, because they have fraud proof, and ZK has a like proving time is long also. So if your application is sensitive to this kind of delay, then you better to choose the way that's better suited for this. For us, our application, our use case is more like bringing verified attestations to other chains, and it doesn't have to be synchronized. So we could just we're fine with some delays, even it's cross L2 to L1 boundary. So yeah, I guess that's our take on this.
Makes sense. I think we saw very different sort of takes where people talked about crossing trust boundaries and people talked about being practical. I think next I have a more like one of the most spicy questions that I have is like, what is the failure model in each of your rollups? Like, because many of you use OP stack, so what happens if, for example, the watchtowers go down? Is there a fraud proof which secures the chain? For a ZK rollup, what happens when the sequencers go down? Is there a decentralized set of provers? If yes, then what are the kind of economic models that you are using to bootstrap this network? What's the role of, if you have an inherent token, what's the role of that token? So I want to understand who are the participants of this construction and how are you incentivizing them. If you have not thought about it, that's also fine. Like just wanted to pick your brain on each one of them. So maybe you start first this time. Can you take another mic?
Hello. Oh, yeah, it works. Yeah, from our perspective, for sure, this question can comes from, I think, two perspectives. One is like, right now at the moment, for the testnet, we are still running it based on one single sequencer, one single prover. And when it comes to this kind of situation, for sure, we are adopting like one of the most reliable Rollup as a service partner in the current, I would say like one of the most reliable one in the current Web3 space, Gelato. They have been very experienced with like running off-chain infrastructure. For example, Arrakis, which is like the liquidity manager of Uniswap, hundreds of millions TVL rely on that. So we do have a lot of trust on them. This is the first side, that's the first perspective. And second, when it comes to what if they are done, of course, we are exploring together with Polygon CDK team about decentralizing sequencers, shared sequencers. These are already in the roadmap for the next year. But definitely it takes time. And when it comes to the economic model, we haven't made the final decision yet, but very likely we are going to adopt our native token to incentivize those shared sequencers, but nothing is finalized at the moment. But yes, as we can see, all the layer 2s we are exploring this shared sequencer solution, even shared provers. There is no concrete finalized solution, but yeah, we are all in the exploration phase.
But on directionally, your token will be used to incentivize the sequencers and other participants of your chain, and that's how it will accrue value.
To be honest, this is not finalized at the moment.
That's true.
But for sure, this is one of like the most intuitive option we have.
Okay, makes sense.
So when something goes wrong with our network, right now it's in test mode. So we have a Telegram channel with the team from Outlayer and Arbitrum was like, hey guys, it's down. So like, what's up? So that's usually when things are handled, by the way. So, but there's definitely things to be improved in the decentralization of the sequencer. Like the way we work is that we open up on our repos for anyone that wants to run the node themselves. We talk to the different parties that are involved in the infrastructure or in the middlewares that we expose and say, like, hey, you should run a node as well. We try to get them to do more, to have more nodes in the network, very basically. But when the networks goes down, there is the escape hatch from the OP stack of Arbitrum. Like you can still post on the layer 2 or the layer 1 yourself, and that's giving us some confidence that things will go well. But the problem of opening up the sequencer is that you also open up your network to optimization regarding MEV. So it takes you should go there step by step.
Yeah, of course.
And we will use our token to incentivize people that will run core pieces of the network.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for decentralized sequencer part, along with running, for have external parties to run our DA nodes as well as our MPC committee nodes, I think that was actually really on our agenda to be explored actually in next year. For the first part, I think it's definitely a very difficult question to tackle among our research team. I think we're working very closely with the Optimism team as well as other teams to understand what will be the exact solutions for that. For the DA and MPC part, I think that will be a step-by-step process for us. Right now, it's definitely centralized on and running by our own team for now to testing the viability. Mantle right now use its own token, M&T, as our gas token, and I think we're probably one of the first one to do that. We also are trying to enable more utilities to the token, including the essence of to use as a governance token for sure, but like more utilities with the LSP as well as with our potential RW projects on our own. I think the essence is that we want to bootstrap the ecosystem and to incentivize the community members to participate in the ecosystem as much as possible.
Makes sense. Victor?
Yeah, from my perspective, I think compared to researching on decentralized sequencer, I'm more interested in building some on-chain monitoring stuff. Like we have 3 levels of on-chain monitoring, system to make sure, because if there's actually people try to attack you, there will be there's a lot of clues you can find before that. And this kind of thing, I think, is more important than talking about the sequencer, in next 3 years. But I do think, decentralized, share prover is kind of more important because it's, really can really save the cost, and this cost is, is useless, basically, 1 ZK EVM you spend this, and 1,000 ZK EVM you spend the same, but you have to just, pay this kind of extremely high cost for, it's not even to POW miner, it's just, it goes nowhere. So it's not make sense for the, high prover cost. But, that's why we do the share prover with Polygon, and we just, can lower their prover cost and lower our prover cost and have the interoperability. But I don't think, decentralized prover is kind of realizable in short term, based economic model and with the reasonable, tech stack to make it secure.
Yeah, we're actually in a similar position as other panelists who are also Outlayer's customer. So our testnet is fully managed by them. We are just building smart contract on top of it. Currently, it's a single sequencer, but we have a multi-stage like testing phase to go from like single to multiple. And in the future, we might plug in some other DA layers too. So it's definitely gonna be like a lot of like other stages to engage with more like stacks as well. And we might also try out other like OP stack or Arbitrum or even like Polygon CDK as a possibility. Yeah, just to also save some time, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I think I had a lot of other questions, and I think the discussion could go on forever. But in the interest of time, I think we are already over our time. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in the panel. I got to know a lot about all of your design choices and what you guys are building. I hope you did the same. So thanks for joining, and let's catch up.